other thing I wanted to talk about was something we've been working on, and it's actually got some pretty crazy implications. So, do you guys know? Are you guys aware of the loot seed theory? Right, that
Yeah.
something player driven is driving the loot that's generated in the game. Um, it's
Wait,
either
hold
player
on, hold
driven.
on.
Yeah.
I've never heard this.
I don't think I've
And
heard
the
this either.
listeners, there's probably plenty of listeners who haven't. Maybe you just
You
explain
don't
a little
you
bit.
don't hear us talk about who seeded the
I hear you
raid
talking
every
about who's
time?
seeding, but I don't think it matters. But like, tell me the thought process on this theory.
Sure. So the theory is that there is a player-driven metric or variable that sets the random seed for the loot generation in the raid. So we it's been assumed since like very early WoW that loot is generated when someone zones into the instance. So when the instance ID is created, the NPCs are generated. Everything is generated at that point, and then loots are generated then, right? So all the bosses will drop the loot they're supposed to when the raid is created, right? Like when it comes into existence, it's been decided. There's got to be a seed variable. Like all random numbers in computers have to have a seed to start because computers can't create random numbers, right? They're not like humans. They need something to start off of, right? So the theory is it's something player controlled. It's either the time we enter, the person who has raid lead when the raid is created, the person who enters first. All these variables are what the seed theory is, right? So we started recording.
God damn it! That's why we're getting all the healer loot because Stoof's always the raid leader, right?
Potentially.
Exactly.
So we started recording the day, the time, who started the raid, who's raid lead when someone enters the raid, who the first person entering is, the time they entered.
You're taking data. I love it.
We are literally doing this, right? And I wouldn't believe it unless this dude Yogi, who's in our raid, he's a bear tank, and he's like,
That's
bro,
an amazing
Hey, boo
name.
boo, I'm Yogi
Yeah.
the bear.
He's like, bro, I've seen like 30 DSTs in my life, you know? And because he wasn't with us before, he's a relatively new guy. And I'm like, we're gonna make him like lead and enter the raid first. Okay. Since we've been doing that, we've gotten 3 DSTs out of like 5 ghouls.
Yeah, but you changed both variables. So now,
Yeah, so we don't know which one it is. So the reason we
now
did
you
that
need
is
to
we
do
don't know
like a
which one it
month
is.
of like him
Yeah.
being the lead and not
What
the
we
raid.
need, unironically, I feel like you have more to say because your hand's up, but
Yeah.
we need to create an add-on that
Yes.
that will collect it across the entire player base, and then
I guarantee you there's something to this. I can't say 100%, like, you know this, Mel, like we need way more data to make a fucking like, consensus about, but something player driven is driving loot.
Yeah.
The only reason I brought this up, if there are guilds who are seeing the same shit every week, screw around with who's raid lead, like who's the first person zoning in, change the times of your raids, like do all this crazy. I guarantee you're going to see different loot. And that's all I wanted to say about that. But we're starting to record.
We've never seen Boots of the Den Mother yet. The Treads of the Den Mother I've been waiting for. We've never seen a single pair, despite doing weekly trash farms as well too. So I'm in belief that there is something going on, but we need a ton of data. Let's make an add-on that collects it across the board, and then then we'll call Blizzard out on it.
So can we get your solemn promise, Yip?
Developers.
Can we get your solemn promise, Yip, that no healer is going to seed or be raid lead going forward for at least a few weeks?
No, because Jasmine's gotten us back-to-back DSTs. So I don't believe that there is. I don't believe that first of all, I don't think that it will come down to like what class you're playing.
Yeah.
But what stood out to me, which always got me thinking about a lot of things about WoW, it was the way people were handling Onyxia in early Classic, where like your characters, like you have like some kind of hex code, like there's some code, like some number associated with your character, and based on those numbers, you would know who was gonna get fireballed.
Yeah. It happens in Alar too. It happens in Alar. Yeah.
And so it's
the
like
same guy gets hit with it every week. It's Yogi. And it doesn't matter when he zones in. It's his player generated random number or whatever his ID is. It always hits him, no matter what. There's no variation. None.
And ever since I learned that like a boss is being controlled by like the actual player like info. I was like, dude, there, there must be some real crazy, like some of the
Yeah.
crazy stuff that people have said over the years might actually just be true. Like the
Listen,
seed, like whoever seeds, because I mean something has to determine it, right? Like it does get determined.